Hey everyone, my name is Simpsy. How you all doing? Welcome to my Starfield review. Over the past week, I've spent countless hours playing Starfield, and I have so many mixed thoughts on this game that I need to talk about. So for this video, I will be talking game mechanics, the game's intro. I will not be talking mid to late game spoilers for the main or other factions, so don't worry. So if you want my short review, the TLDR boils down to, if you love and like Bethesda games, you'll like this one. If you like Skyrim or Fallout 4, you will enjoy this. If you enjoy escaping to Bethesda worlds and simply just want to live in the universe, a universe like The Expanse or Raised by Wolves, you will adore this game. The best analogy, I think, is that Starfield is like space Fallout. If you like Fallout over Elder Scrolls, I think you will like this game. Now, I did find it really hard to find a general consensus of what the majority of people think of this game, so let me know your thoughts in the comments so you can help me out with that. Now, with every new game, and particularly with this one, you will have your divides. On one end, you have the extreme outrage grifters, which will like farm engagement on posts and will literally say anything that Starfield is the worst game ever made. And then on the other end, you have the delusional, over-the-top, unfettered praise of this game, that Starfield is the best game ever made by far and will feel personally attacked if you challenge them on their view otherwise. And that Todd is the second coming or something. I've seen a lot of this, so be warned for that. I've seen a lot of that online. So let's talk the game's intro. I was extremely underwhelmed and quite frankly disappointed. I think I overhyped myself expecting an iconic Bethesda intro. I thought we were going to get one, especially with a brand new space IP. I think back to Oblivion with the Emperor and the prison, to Skyrim with the cart and the dragon attack and escape. Hell, even Fallout 4, one of the weaker games of the series, had a better starting intro than this. You walk through a mine, touch an artifact, and fight some brigands. I was expecting the mine to collapse or something, and we're gonna get some like crazy Indiana Jones like temple run scene or something. That's where my levels of hype were. Character creation is fine, not terrible. The backgrounds, the traits, and the skills I think are fantastic, especially for role-playing. If you like a character's background over the skills, pick that, because you can acquire skills later. If you roleplay, I really can't stress this enough. The skills leveling and skill level ups, in my opinion, are some of the best in any Bethesda game, so you will need to spend your skills wisely. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of exploring randomly generated worlds in this game. I prefer the more handcrafted worlds. I kind of burnt myself out exploring Crete for 6 hours straight, and I feel like once you've scanned and explored one, you've basically done them all. You just experience new biomes. So if you enjoy games like No Man's Sky and their exploration, you might get bored with this one. So space battles, the dogfights, boarding, commandeering and selling ships, customizing your ships is fantastic. You can spend hours doing this and designing and crafting your ships if you want. The ship combat does get a little bit stale after a bit, but I'm sure mods could fix that. Outpost building is fine, but you will need a lot of credits and resources to have an epic base on the size of an outpost like Fallout 4. Personally, I didn't spend too many hours on base building, as I prefer to level up my ship as a mobile base rather than having a planet as a home base. But if you spent hours base building in Fallout 4, you'll once again do it in this. Now, I'm a massive fan on the variety of weapons in this game, from pistols, shotguns, rifles, and snipers. Even the melee is kind of underrated and maybe slept upon. I personally am not the biggest fan of Fallout 4 weapons, and would tend to mod in more realistic weapons into my Fallout games. I always found it a little bit weird that there wasn't like a M4 platform for weapons, because you can tell in Starfield the weapons are more down to earth. You can tell the designs heavily inspired from like the P90, the VKS, and even various Kalashnikov platforms. So now let's talk about the main story, and I'm going to be as vague as possible. It's slow, and I mean very slow. It takes a while to speed up, but it is worth doing and not rushing in my opinion. I did find myself early on personally not invested or interested necessarily in the Constellation group. In my opinion, the first 4 out of the 5 Constellation characters you find are really uninteresting and, quite honestly, particularly dull. But it does pick up, and I really did enjoy the mid to late main game questline. And the final ending, I think, is better than Fallout 4, the base game. Main story-wise, I can already see there's going to be 2 camps of people. The first, where one is that they wish they never did the main story at all and didn't touch it. And the second one would be, well shit, now I should have done the main story earlier and not completely neglected it through my playthrough. Now come back to this video when you've done with the main story and tell me I'm right in the comments. Believe me, Factions and guilds are okay and interesting, nothing really to talk home about, without being spoilery. I found myself more invested into going into cities and talking to every single person and doing small miscellaneous and side quests, big and small. I found myself picking a city and going and trying to talk to every single person I could and ground myself in a city for like 5 to 6 hours. That's where I got the most enjoyment out of this game. Going around trying to help out the plight of the common man. Now personally, I experienced very limited bugs, hardly any, only 1 or 2 here and there. The least buggy Bethesda game I've ever played. The performance was fine. My PC's not 2 years old, I didn't have any performance issues whatsoever. The combat AI isn't the best, and it's kind of bad even on the harder difficulties. I do like the setting of Starfield. It's nowhere near as depressing as Fallout. Now the pricing of this game, especially if you bought early access, is expensive. I didn't get a code for Bethesda and they haven't sponsored this video obviously. I paid 110 USD for my game because I wanted the early access and the DLC, so I could put out this review for you guys. So the game is rather expensive. I would recommend for most people just to buy it on Game Pass. You can get it for a lot cheaper. Now I'm someone that has a different opinion than most people about video game pricing. For example, I'm more than happy to spend 200 Australian dollars for a game if I'm literally going to play thousands and tens of thousands of hours. I'm someone that doesn't spend loads of money on movies and tickets and stuff. So if it turns out that I'm playing a couple cents, dollars here and there for a video game, I don't mind doing that. And especially on the size of a game like Starfield, I say it's a good and worth investment. Also, as a side note, I live in Australia. We've got really good consumer laws here. If you buy a game on Steam in Australia and some other selected countries, so as long as you don't play over 2 hours of Starfield, you can get a Steam refund. I would highly recommend looking into it. However, I do believe it can lock your Steam inventory for a month, so there's really no need to pre-order games for me in Australia anymore. And to be honest, you really shouldn't pre-order video games. Now, I'm someone who loves Bethesda games, and I had so much fun playing this game, and I really enjoyed my time. I never played Fallout 76, but I did enjoy Starfield over my experience in playing Fallout 4. Now, I never saw any of the pre-release announcements and stuff, so I never was overhyped for this game. I'm someone who hasn't played Mass Effect, Cyberpunk, No Man's Sky, Star Citizen, or EVE Online, but I think people have different expectations going into this game. If you love the Bethesda formula, which is quite old at this point, you'll love this game. If you were someone who wants more story, like your Mass Effect or your Cyberpunk, you might not. If you're someone who likes No Man's Sky or Subnautica and you like to survey planets, resources, and unique life, that's going to get tiresome pretty quick, I think. If you're someone who wants a Star Citizen or you love ships in EVE Online, you're not going to probably like this, as ship traveling between planets is very limited, mostly done by cutscenes. Now this is still very early days in the life cycle of Starfield. This is week 1, day 1 of full release and early access. I really can't wait to see what the modding community does with Starfield, as it will be the moddable space RPG, and I'm really looking forward to it. I can already envision full conversion, Star Wars, Star Trek, Orville, The Expanse, Raised by Wolves, and various other IPs. And I think Bethesda know that too. There's already UI, graphical, inventory mods coming out. So overall, Starfield is a mixed and complicated bag. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious. Leave the video a like if you found this video informative. Subscribe for more Starfield videos on the channel, shorts and streams. Take care everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.